Okay, we're going to end this series on what I refer to, I just call it chord neutrality, because a basic triad is really very neutral because, and this is going to be very helpful when you go to try to understand film harmony and whatnot. They don't rely very much on 5/1 cadences, a lot of these people. So, let's skip this. This is not about that in particular, but this will help you to understand many styles for one. But a basic triad by itself, chord neutrality, means like a basic, any scale that fits that chord, okay, will work. Or let's just put likely, because there's going to be some cases where you might find it harder to fit than others, or it be not as smooth, but likely work. So basic, like a C major triad, we have C major, C Lydian, C Mixolydian. All those will work over a C major chord. C major chord's neutral. So if I just play C major and just go in between the, I'm going to use a lot of passing tones. C major, C Lydian, C Mixolydian, C major. So that C major chord itself is very neutral. So if we think about this 1-4-5 and these kind of like bluesy feels, kind of a Mixolydian feel, 1-4 Mixolydian feel, 5 Mixolydian feel, 1. Okay, now of course they use a lot of chromatic tones like flat 2s, but this is not it, and flat 5 and stuff like the blues scale over the top and pentatonics, but that's not for that. So that's not what this course is about. It's just showing that you could use that Mixolydian feel to another Mixolydian feel to another Mixolydian feel. So let's use 1-4-5 again and do a Lydian to Lydian, okay? Since a C major itself is neutral, F major itself is neutral. Without the sevenths, they're neutral. So you can play any scale over the top of them that's a major bass scale, just like you did with the dominant kind of scales. So, C Lydian, F Lydian, G Lydian, C Lydian. 1-4-5, but instead of dominant bass, Lydian based. So this kind of brings me to the second thing. Any chord you land on can basically be its own home plate, and you could use the same exact concept again here, but on that new chord. And you could also use any scale that fits that chord. Okay, let me get rid of this. And can also use any chords that fit that scale. So let's see what I mean by this. Let's say you take C major. You could use any of the chords of C major, and then you land on the 3 of C major, right? Well, you could use E Dorian and any of the chords of E Dorian. And this is a huge film composer trick. Now the 4 chord of E Dorian is A, so we could use A major and all its chords over the top of that. So we're really expanding on this concept, which actually needs its own course, but let's play on that exact thing I said. C major, the 3 of C major is now E Dorian. The 4 chord of Dorian, E Dorian, is now A major and all its chords. And these kind of switches like this are very common in film score types music, and if you want to understand their type of harmony, they do a lot of stuff like that. A lot, not all, but a lot. So let's do another one. We'll do C Mixolydian and the 5 chord. The 5 chord is neutral, so we can make a G minor. The 6 chord of G minor is E flat, right? We can make the E flat part E flat Mixolydian. Okay, so common chords, but using chord neutrality, changing the feel on them. C Mixolydian, G minor, the sixth chord of G minor is now E flat, but now it's E flat Mixolydian. Okay, now I modulated out again, did another kind of similar move, but I'm not going to explain that. So we did C Mixolydian, G minor, E flat Mixolydian. That's what that sequence became. You notice I'm just pivoting off of chords that are using chord neutrality. C Mixolydian 1, G Aeolian, E flat Mixolydian. So every time I landed on a different chord in the mode, I used a different scale, and in turn it becomes like a pivot. So let's do this. And D major, the 3 chord of D major is F sharp minor, but we'll use F sharp Dorian and chords from F sharp Dorian. The 3rd chord of F sharp Dorian is A major, and you will use A Mixolydian and its chords. So D major and its chords, F sharp minor is one of them. And when we hit that F sharp minor, we're going to D F sharp Dorian right here. The 3rd of F sharp Dorian is now A Mixolydian. So we're basically pivoting by chord neutrality. I'm treating each chord in each scale as a different possible mode and its chords. And then the 3 chord of F sharp Dorian is A major, which I treated as A Mixolydian and its chords. So D major and its chords, F sharp Dorian and its chords, and then A Mixolydian and its chords. So even though this is kind of the ending of the mode series, it's just showing you directions you can take it, but this is actually deserving of its own series, and I'm going to write it down as a list of things to do. Modulation in this fashion instead of traditional modulation. Chord neutrality, okay? Any major or minor chord where that scale fits it will work over that chord, and including the chords from that scale. So let's just take an example again. We have A major. You can use an A major scale. You can use an A Lydian scale. You can use a Mixolydian, or let's say you take A major and then use the 2 chord, the B minor chord, the 2 chord, okay? And then you could treat that B minor as B Aeolian and go straight to G major, which is the 6th chord of B Aeolian, right? Okay, you could use that 6th chord as the 5 chord of a C minor chord in traditional functional harmony, but you could change it and not go to C minor. You could go to C Dorian after you've hit that 5 chord, G major to C minor, and then treat C minor as C Dorian. See what I mean? Chord neutrality, that the one you land on can become its new mode. So this is an interesting approach, and it'll change the way you think harmonically, especially if you combine traditional functional harmony with this stuff. You start coming up with all kinds of endless sequences and endless options, and this is one of the series I want to concentrate on next. So as a quick review, because this is definitely for its own series, but any chord you use that is a major or minor chord, basic triad can literally use any mode over the top of it, and on top of that it could use any of the chords from that mode. So this starts creating an unlimited supply of moves, and later on we'll get in depth with this in a different series, and I'll probably stick it in the chromatic modulation series.